Welcome to the District 5020 Rotary Membership Quarterly Online Training, Member Attraction, Creating Your Club Membership Plan. My name is Corey Leparty, and I'll be your training leader this evening. I'm also the District 5020 Membership Development Chair. And if you have any questions about tonight's presentation or any questions about membership, you can reach me at pardoman@yahoo.com, which is listed on your screen. So tonight we're talking about member attraction and creating your club membership plan. So first we're going to look at why a club membership plan. Then we'll look at the visioning process, how to be strategic, SMART goals, breaking those goals into projects, and then getting club buy-in. We'll also have that Q&A session at the end I mentioned, and we'll review some upcoming District 5020 membership trainings in the future.
Friends and fellow Rotarians, our new strategic plan is an ambitious document laying out the framework for the Rotary we want to see in the years ahead. Its priorities are increasing our impact, expanding our reach, enhancing participant engagement, and increasing our ability to adapt. In all of these priorities, our members are key, for our members are the ones who do the work that Rotary is here for and create the experiences that make Rotary what it is. We need to grow Rotary. The stronger and more diverse our membership, the more ambitious we can be in our service, and the more attractive we will be to the kinds of women and men who will bring the most to Rotary. But a strong and diverse membership does not happen by itself, nor will it happen if our approach to membership is simply exhorting our members to invite their friends. We need to focus on membership in a way that is structural, not individual. Instead of asking, who do we know? Ask, who are we missing? What vocations, what organizations, what positions in the community do we need, and who are the people who fill those positions? Just as important, what value do we have to offer these people in our clubs? What do we need to do to help the people we attract to Rotary become truly engaged, valuable, and lifelong members? Membership is not just a priority in Rotary, it is Rotary. To grow Rotary, we need to give our membership the same attention we give to all our Rotary service, to all of the ways that Rotary connects the world.
So one of the key takeaways that I got from that when I watched it the first time was that our RI president wants us to be strategic. And he suggests what I've thought for a while, that just inviting people to lunch is not probably the best way for us to build membership. So going forward, let's look at a membership plan, because without a plan, a goal is just a wish. So planning is key to almost anything that happens or doesn't happen in any organization. Just inviting people to lunch is no longer a viable membership practice, as our president says. And being strategic is going to help us continue to be relevant in our communities. And no one membership plan will work for all clubs, and therefore it's important that the club itself create its own membership plan. Now, Rotary International has a number of documents on membership, and one of them is the Strengthening Your Membership document, Creating Your Membership Plan. And in that, they have 6 chapters that go all the way through evaluating your club, creating a vision, attracting members, mentoring new clubs, and so forth. And at the end of that, they actually have 5 pages with checklists where you can go through and you can evaluate your club and you can do all those things that all those chapters talk about. On top of that, Rotary also has a club membership committee checklist, which is broken down into 4 parts you can see here on your screen, and it goes through identifying who should be a member, and introducing the members to Rotary, inviting them in, and how to engage them. And all of these are great resources, and there's lots and lots of material. But what I've found is that most clubs, especially clubs that haven't had a membership committee for a while, or clubs that have a brand new membership chair, that this material can be kind of overwhelming. Once you start stacking it up and you start looking at all and you try to make your way through it and you start figuring out that this may be more than I really want to bite off going through all those steps. So tonight we're going to go with a much more streamlined, simplified approach to creating your club's membership plan. So the visioning process, your club culture is directly related to why people join, stay, or leave your club. And so we're going to look at how to evaluate your club culture. Now, Rotary has a document that you can use, discovering club culture and identifying areas to revitalize. And in that document, there's a number of questions, and they go ranging from whether you're growing in membership to declining. Are you trying new things or doing the same thing over and over? Are your speakers engaging? Are your meetings boring? And that's a good way to evaluate your club. Now, if your club hasn't done this or you don't have time, you can actually do this material at your membership committee level. The key from this document, though, is there's 3 questions at the end that I think every club should really look at. And those 3 questions are, what do your members love about your club? What turns members off? And what 3 things could be improved to enhance the club experience? Now, when you've looked at your club culture and you know those things, you're a little bit farther along on how you can make your membership plan. But I urge you to still look at who's missing from your club. And you can do that with a couple of documents we flashed on the screen earlier. You can do that with representing your community's professions. This looks to make sure that your club identifies the types of occupations, professions, classifications they used to be called in your community, and making sure that your club membership represents that. And then the diversifying your club, making sure that your club is diverse and inclusive and has equality and equity within the community. Now, these 3 documents are the ones that are going to get you the most along to be able to analyze what needs your membership plan needs to address. Then we should be strategic, as our RI president says. And so when I think of strategic when it comes to membership plan, I think of a 4-step process. First, the vision that we just talked about. And then from that vision, you should come up with 1 to 3 goals that you will work on in your membership plan. Those goals are all going to have individual projects within them, and then those projects need to be broken down into different tasks. So things to think about when you're creating your membership vision. What's your current membership size? And what has been the size of your club in the past? And then how many members would it take to carry out your club's 3 to 5 year vision? Now, if your club doesn't have a 3 to 5 year vision, maybe they've got a shorter vision or they'd have no vision at all, your membership committee can still look at what are the things that we want to get accomplished in our club? What are the things that we found when we evaluated our club culture that we need to work on? And do we have enough members right now to do those? If not, maybe one of your goals is to increase membership. The other things to look at is there another demographic that you'd like to target to grow in your club, i.e. gender, age range, ethnicity, some sort of skill set, an occupation. All these things can be different kinds of goals that you can have in your membership plan. On the screen right now is a sample strategic initiative, and it reads, our club will create a living membership plan in order to attract new members to our club, engage all members in our club, and outreach to the local community for participation and support, especially of the business community. Now, this is a strategic initiative or a vision statement for your membership plan. It's kind of a overall umbrella statement. It encompasses some of the things you hope to accomplish, but they're not very specific. And so for that, we want to have goals, and we want those goals to be SMART goals. Now, SMART goals are specific, they're clear and concise, they're measurable, whether it's in time or number of members, they're actionable. It's actually something that you can do as a club. They're realistic, or at least they should be realistic 50% of the time, And they should be timed goals. There should be deadlines that you have set, and you should be committed to those deadlines, and you should track that process or progress. Now, some sample membership goals. 1, increase club membership by at least a net plus 1 new member each month through June of 2020. 2, create more diversity in the club by having 50% more females by June of 2020. Or maybe you'd want to increase the membership of young and professionals in your club to 10% by the June of this Rotary year. Once you've identified some of those goals that you have, your 1 to 3 goals, then your plan should include also the projects. Now, goals often involve more than one project, but those projects should include, when they're listed, the intended results, the people that are going to take part in doing this work, the actions those people have to take, a timeline for those actions. Remember, we want these goals to be SMART goals, so they need to be specific and timed, and then any budget implications that may take place, whether your board or your committee needs to appropriate any funds to make sure that these membership options happen. So a sample project might look like this. If we had a goal as a membership committee in our plan to increase club membership by at least a net plus 1 new member each month through June of 2020, some of the projects we could take on would be developing club activities that attract new members, creating club activities that engage members, or maybe establishing a community outreach program specific to the local business community. And those specific actions that are required for the success of that project should be documented. So you want to list the description of the task that you're taking place, when you're going to start, when you're going to finish, who's going to be in charge. Are there any other members or non-club members that are going to be involved in this project? And then again, those budgetary items. What is going to cost the club when we do this type of option? Another thing you might include in the document is down at the bottom, a way for somebody to sign off when they've actually completed the action that they're going to take as part of the plan. So some sample membership tasks. Let's say your membership committee decided to go with Project A, develop club activities that attract new members. Now, some of the tasks that might still need to be taken on with that, you could develop a social media site and schedule updates at least every couple of days. You could create a list of potential members and then invite those potential members to club social activities. You could also determine the follow-up procedures for potential club members. So when you're looking at developing these activities, all the activities should support the project, and the project supports the goal. Then you want to look at getting club buy-in. Club buy-in is very important when you're taking on any new activity. So you want to make sure that you present your plan when your committee is done with it to your club meeting. You want to present it to your club at a meeting. And it might require effort and time to overcome some resistance. So keep that in mind when you're working on how long it's going to take to put your plan in place and how long it's going to take to accomplish some of those goals. Plans need to be constantly communicated, and they demand consistency in your approach to gain credibility for any program of change. So when you're presenting your plan, make sure the plan is in writing and available for review. You're going to need to recruit members beyond your committee to be involved. Encourage positive attitudes towards the plan. It should be something that you're looking forward to do as a committee. You want to find a champion for that plan outside your committee so that your plan has a better chance of actually taking place. And make sure you answer any concerns before implementation. And that's why you want to present your plan to the club as a whole and not start the plan and then hear feedback from people. To overcome resistance in an effective way is to provide strong and compelling and sound rationale for the plan. Stress how it's going to be helpful and it's going to grow the club in a way that each Rotarian can be proud of. You want to communicate it to ensure wide acceptance. Utilize every channel of communication, every opportunity to promote and communicate your vision to your club members. So not only show it at a club meeting, but make sure that you talk about the plan in your newsletter, you talk about the plan in email blasts, that you bring it up at other club activities. Anything involving membership, you should always be going back to that plan. Here's what our plan is, here's what we're hoping to accomplish. Thank you for being on board. And consistency. It's an important factor in gaining credibility with the change to a new program. Club leaders got to demonstrate consistency in their strategy all the way through. The plan should be reviewed on an annual or biannual basis, but you shouldn't be constantly tweaking and changing it based on everybody's input all the time. And you got to say one thing. You don't want to say one thing and do another thing. That's the sure way to lose credibility with a plan and with your club members. So the club membership plan in its simplest form, you're going to explore the idea, you're going to establish the details, you're going to propose the idea, and you're going to launch the plan. Remember, a good plan implemented today is better than a perfect plan implemented tomorrow. So now I'm going to open it up for questions.
Okay, it's Richard. I have a question. Have you given any thought to communities where there's more than one Rotary Club, and how they might or should go about membership development?
So are you asking about whether they could have a joint membership plan or joint membership activities?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage joint membership activities. I think, we've encouraged from our committee standpoint to reach out to all the membership chairs in the areas that the committee members are part of and try to get them to meet on a quarterly basis to work together. I don't think one plan would work for multiple clubs necessarily, because I think all clubs are going to have different needs that they're going to need to put into that plan. But I do think they could be strategic in working together, especially in areas like, here in Thurston County, we've got 10 clubs in the area. And so they could definitely all be working together.
Corey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Pete Leanhutz, East Jefferson County Rotary. I came in about 5 minutes late, so I don't know that if you pointed out that there is a series of membership training seminars available on the Learning Center on RI's website.
I actually didn't mention the Learning Center stuff. I had that as might put it in, and I didn't actually include it. But you're absolutely right. There is 2 different membership training sessions on the RI Learning Center, and one of them does cover a membership plan, and they're definitely good tools, and all the resources that RI puts out there are great. I only find that some people find them overwhelming because there are just so many of them.
Yes, we've had that experience most recently. So I think your approach is the right approach. A simplified approach and getting something moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other questions?
Corey, do you have any examples of where somebody has done this and what the results have been?
So I do know that in other districts, clubs have had membership plans that they've been working on for a while. In our district, I don't know of any actual, but I know I'm sure there's some out there. I know our club spent 2 years in the process of developing a plan, and we just launched it last week to our club. So I don't have feedback on whether or not the plan as a whole is going to work or not. I do know that we had a modified activity that is part of the plan where we developed a lead process to bring in members, and we've actually achieved sustainability in membership through it. So I do know that having any plan in place is better than none, but I don't have hard evidence on what plans work better or whether clubs that have plans or not are more successful.
Corey?
Yes.
It's Craig here. This is really timely for us because we have I'm membership chair in our club, and we have a program devoted to Tuesday, and we're basically going to create table groups. We've done a lot of the cultural assessment. We do have a membership plan. I don't think our strategic planning has been as pinpoint focused as what I see you're advocating here. So that gives us some food for thought. But we're basically going to ask each table group 4 questions. And the first is, who would you like to see represented in our club that isn't currently here? And that could be vocational or demographic or whatever group we don't feel is represented. The second is we're going to ask specifically at each table group name someone that you think would make a wonderful Rotarian because of the skill set or the heart that they bring. And the third is, think of a former Rotarian, someone that you know quite well who's no longer part of our club, but was a part of our club at one point. Who do you think we might attempt to re-invite to our club to reconsider? And then the fourth question is just going to be, how do we support our members as an entire club once we attract new members? So I'll let you know how that goes, but at the very bottom of that, I'm also we're a club of about 60, and I'm just going to ask if there's anyone here who is not currently part of our membership committee and would like to be part of that committee, please write your name down on this paper. And then we're going to take those results to our first formal membership meeting of the year, membership committee meeting of the year, and
Great.
work with those results.
Well, yeah, it sounds like you're well on your way to having a fleshed out plan with directions and very specific tasks to take on. I'm sure if you get good feedback from that meeting, you'll probably be well on your way.
Corey, Pete Leanhouse again, East Jefferson County Rotary.
Yep.
We picked up a former member back in February when we started developing our current district community grant, and we needed the expertise that he had. He'd been out of the club for about, 10 years, 12 years, something like that. And our current president went back and started working with him. And not only did the former member come back, he brought back another member who'd been gone for about that length of time, a former club president. So going after former Rotarians has been productive for our club. I would ask, thinking of what Craig said, if you have a couple of clubs that are along the process or are doing the kind of membership development that you think is exemplary or could be used as an example, if we could have access to like an overview of their plan, or so that we can just look and see what does a successful club's plan look like. I think the process that you've outlined here tonight is a pretty good one, having plans in both our foundation and public image committees for that. And I think it would be helpful for our membership committees to sort of have guideposts along the way and say, this is what it looks like. This is how the development process works. Maybe this is how long it takes to develop. These are some of the measures of effectiveness, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to share that, and we'll be working to put that all together here in the next couple of months as a committee. We definitely are working to track best practices in the district and sharing those with the clubs.
Yeah.
Corey,
Go ahead.
Corey, we've had some real good success on our new clubs on establishing a good number of new members. Are there lessons that an established club can learn from how the new clubs have made those accomplishments of adding the new members?
Sure, absolutely. Some of what I've seen from the new clubs is that they do a very good job of evaluating when people want to meet, how they want to meet, and what kind of service projects they want to do. So in doing that, I think they find a collective mindset, and it's easier to get buy-in, get people excited to join these clubs when they feel like they're joining for a specific reason, to go in a specific direction, and they know what's entailed. I think with a lot of our senior clubs, they often have things set which work and have worked for a long period of time, but it's often not necessarily a schedule or a focus that works for every part of the community. And so the community evaluations are really important if you're in an area where maybe you're the only Rotary club and you've been around for a long time, or you're the senior Rotary club and you want to figure out how to engage the way a new club is. Really finding out kind of the buzz on the street and what people are looking for in Rotary is one of the best ways to figure out how you can, grow Rotary. It hasn't necessarily happened in our district, but in other districts, and there's a brand new satellite club learning center program where a district that's had a satellite for about 5 years now talks about the process of setting up that satellite club and how that satellite really came out of the club realizing that they weren't meeting all the needs of the community and trying to figure out how they could do that. And the way they did that was through a satellite. There's another club that was evaluated and they just added additional meeting times. I think that works for large clubs, but that doesn't necessarily work for small to medium clubs to have more meetings. But both of those clubs did actual community evaluations to figure out why people maybe were passing over the club that had been in that community for a long time. So I hope
that was, that's very, very good feedback.
Anybody else?
Corey, Dave Eatwell here, Chehalis Club.
Yes, Dave.
We seem to have a unique problem. At one time, we had 145 members. We're club number 60. But in recent years, there was not an effort to maintain membership and bring in new people. So of the people who actually come to our meetings, every one of them is a past president. And it's very difficult to put together a board because no one wants to really step out and take on membership or whatever. Someone did take on membership. Unfortunately, like a large portion of our club, he's retired and he's out of town a lot traveling.
Sure. Yeah.
And so he's not participating in this workshop. And we are having some success by targeting people to bring into the club specifically to be board members.
Sure.
Our most recent person to be installed, we brought in because we haven't really had a treasurer for 2 years. So it's, I understand the whole planning process, but we don't have enough bricks laid on the ground with enough mortar between the bricks to actually build a plan on quite yet. It's kind of frustrating, although we have added 4 new members in the last 2 months. And so we're taking an extremely basic look at bringing in women and adding diversity to our club. We have done the cultural study.
Okay.
And we understand that we need to bring in, be more diverse. There are, at one time, all leaders in all levels of government in the county and the cities around here were members of our club. For some reason, that's gone away. And we're looking at that. As far as changing our meeting time, this club has met at noon since February 21st, 1919. There's not a lot of wish to change that.
Wow.
So, no, I'm sorry, 1921, when we were chartered in 1921. But we do have a couple of things in the future, and we're looking at building partnerships with other organizations to get our name out there, working with United Way on literacy, working with the Lewis County History Museum on a 1-year-long program of looking at the last 100 years in Chehalis and all the things over that time that the Chehalis Rotary has done. So we have some good things in the future, but it's a lot of work. And unfortunately, most of the work is done by 3 or 4 people.
Sure, that does happen. It sounds like you may be in a unique space that your club could provide one-on-one mentoring to new members with, the opportunity for leadership in the club sooner rather than later.
That is the approach we're taking.
And so maybe targeting, those individuals that would benefit from the mentoring, and if you have a lot of retired people, finding people that are newer in the industries that those others retired from.
Yeah.
And actually just one-on-one, person-to-person mentoring as an appeal to your club at this point. So that would be just my suggestion.
Well, we do have that ongoing actually, but we do need to expand that.
Yep.
But the biggest obstacle, quite frankly, is that all these retired people have a lot of kids to go visit, and they travel to Europe, once or twice a year, and it's the being consistently around can be a challenge.
Yeah. Well,
But
thank you.
I have also, for everybody who has stepped up to take on a role, I have asked them to implement a thing I learned in the Air Force, which is called 2 Deep. And that is, for everyone who takes on a leadership role, they choose someone else to follow behind them and take over when they're not around.
That is a very good practice.
This is Pete Leanhout, East Jefferson. One of the things we hear is that younger members who are in the workforce cannot come to an hour-and-a-half meeting at noon, which we hear in my club because we are about 2/3 retired. So I'm in complete sympathy with the Chehalis speaker. And we are moving from our noon meetings that we've held since 1982 to 2 business meetings a month, 1 social meeting and 1 at night to try to go after the younger members. I wonder if that might be an option for the Chehalis Club, is to take one of their meetings or add a night meeting just as a very informal, in a bar somewhere, that kind of thing, just to see what's out there.
Yeah, we have implemented a program of when there are 5 Wednesdays in a month, the 5th Wednesday is an evening meeting. We also are looking at doing out of the ordinary type of projects like outings together. We've taken historic tours by bus of historic sites in the area. I'm looking at putting together snowshoeing to learn to snowshoe and going snowshoeing on Mount Rainier this winter, and things like that are a little bit out of the ordinary and will attract younger people who want to learn how to snowshoe. We've done paint night. We've done a number of things like that give people a reason to get together and not talk about Rotary.
Have you had any, has it been in place long enough to have results yet? What kind of results are you seeing?
Well, we've found that we're getting into, we've brought in some people. Actually, one of our big successes is recruiting the owner of a coffee shop / bookstore who knows everyone in town. And she's only been a member for 3 months, and she has brought us 4 new members. And and she's not on the membership committee or anything. That she's just one of these social people that like I do. I feel that I'm retired, but my part-time job is when I meet someone that looks like a good candidate. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I asked them, have you ever thought about joining? I bumped into a guy on the street today. I was actually going into our meeting, and I talked to him for 20 minutes about joining Rotary. He said, well, and this was a professional black man who was a counselor at the local at Green Hill Boys School. And he said, well, I thought Rotary was just for rich white guys. And I'm afraid that I get that a lot. I get it from women. I get it from Hispanic people. And, it's something we have to undo, especially around here.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, Chehalis Rotary did used to be the white guys.
Yeah.
In fact, when Mo comes down to visit us on the 26th of September, we're going to present Paul Harris Fellowship to a woman that has been a pillar of the community for the last 30 years who was denied membership in Rotary.
Yeah. It sounds like you're starting to move down the path. You know, Corey, that might be one of those things where if you do a seminar back in 6 months, you could invite clubs that are moving like Chehalis to come back and say, well, this worked and that didn't work. Because honestly, you know, listening to the Chehalis speaker, we're sort of heading down some of those similar paths. It sounds like they're a little farther ahead than we are. It'd be kind of interesting to see if their experience is a positive one on that particular path, or whether they would suggest we take a different path.
Well, one of the things I can recommend is just to be on the lookout. Now, most all of you have probably heard of Rose Bowman.
Yep.
Rose was a powerhouse. But unfortunately, Rose did everything and did not bring new people in, and she did not share what she knew. And that's frankly, one of the major problems we're going through is that there for about 5 years, Rose did everything in the club.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you're both heading in the right direction. And did anybody else? Mo, did you want to chime in, or anybody else on the call?
Corey,
Yes.
excuse me. This is Pat Zane, Rotary Club of Quinn.
Yes, Pat.
Greetings all. I would ask from the attendees, what would you recommend doing to bring in more millennials when you are living, as we do here, in a retirement area, basically? There are young people here, but many of them are very involved in their professions, and we have 3 younger members, but the majority of our small club are retirees.
So this is Richard. One suggestion would be, and it's come up in the conversation so far, you might want to think about starting a little satellite club with those younger members that could meet at a time that works for them, and maybe the 3 younger folks that you've got in your club now could lead that and get it going, and then as a way of bringing younger people in, but better meeting their circumstance. It's always been the case that for younger members of Rotary, our competition has always been family activities, the time that adults take with their children's activities. And it's always kind of been when that became less of a call on their time, that they had time for Rotary. So anyway, just a thought.
Well, something that we do is we have go-to-meetings set up for every meeting. So if someone's traveling, they're able to join our meeting, and we are also using that to focus on busy professionals who may not be able to attend the meeting in person, but could attend the meeting via go-to-meeting.
One of the ways that, this is Dave again in Chehalis, one of the ways that we are looking to attract young people with children is by taking on a problem that Lewis County has, and that's literacy. And we're doing that through the Dolly Parton Illumination Library program. We're doing that by putting little free libraries around in the community with lots of children's books in them. And in general, promoting these programs and going out into the community, setting up a table and making contact with parents, because people in the millennial age group are people with kids, and involving them in literacy is something that they're going to be committed to. It'll be, you know, that's one way of pointing out that Rotary is not, you know, just rich white guys. Because everybody with kids is more willing to get involved in a program that is good for kids. So we're looking at those types of programs because that's an age group of adult that we're trying to reach. We're also looking at the 3rd grade dictionary program, providing a dictionary to every third grader in Lewis County.
Yes, we did that for 18 years in
Hello.
our club.
Hi, Pat. It's Craig Gillis here.
Hello, Craig.
Nice to hear your voice. You know, that just makes me think of a couple of things that we've tried to do somewhat differently in our club. And I discovered that last year in some of the visits with some of our newer clubs of younger professionals, one of their great revelations was we didn't know what we didn't know about Rotary. And I think that that's the first step in is making Rotary more visible to people. So how you approach that probably differs from community to community. But what we've tried to really do is when we are having projects that we are involved in, trying to bring people, call them friends of Rotary or whatever term you might like, but give them that feeling of what it's like to be a Rotarian, to be cooking hamburgers at the barbecue or to be helping out at the duck dip. And sometimes it's just a small activity, but I think exposing people to that experience of what the service actually feels like goes a long way. And many of the most recent members we have attracted to our club have come to us because of our dances and tapas for wheelchairs, or because of the youth exchange program, or because of there've been very specific examples of people who have felt what it was like to contribute. I would also give you a name. Brianne Martinez in the Kingston North Kitsap Club did something very similar to what they were talking about last year. They had their more traditional meeting, but then they had basically call it a satellite group of younger people. I think Michelle was the person who was their chair for that, but she might be able to give you further thoughts about the steps that they took within their club.
Thank you.
Okay,
This is just one quick suggestion from East Jefferson. If you look on YouTube for District 5020, back on the 24th of January, the membership seminar addressed how to attract younger members, and there might be some ideas in that seminar.
there were a lot of great ideas to take away from that seminar. It was put on by a couple of young professionals from the District 5100 who did a great job. I would highly recommend watching that video.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Carol from Tacoma Rotary 8.
Yep.
So I kind of have the opposite problem of what she was saying about the retirees. You know, Tacoma is very large. And I think my membership, well, first off, my membership chair is very new, which I think is both good and bad. So, you know, new innovative ideas. She's been reaching out to the 40 under 40 and but it is rather overwhelming to, if we, you know, even if we look at our membership plan, identify those individuals of who we're missing. I feel like we have this gap between identifying those people and how to contact those people, because email, you know, it's so commonplace this now. How do we reach these people? You know, I feel like there's a challenge in that next action step, and I wondered if there was any thoughts out there on how we translate that.
So do you have a specific group that you're trying to contact?
Not yet. I mean, I think that's part
Okay.
of what I'll bring back to
I
the
mean,
thing is, we actually talked about that in our board meeting, is who are we missing? Is it, you know, we as part of our strategic plan is diversification, diversity, you know, women, age groups, vocational, all those things. Again, those are very very large and lofty goals, right? To scale it down to say, you know, let's just say we want more, and we have a lot of nonprofits in our club, and I would like to see some more professional type, no matter who it is. Obviously we want great Rotarians. That's the long and short of it. If that comes with diversity, I think that's fantastic. and people, active people in our community who will support Rotary and have a serving heart.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
I feel like there's a
let's say you were targeting professionals, business owners in the Pierce County area. You might look at joining the Chamber of Commerce. You might look at what other networking groups are already taking place that business owners might be at. You might look at trade publications, things that are getting directly sent to them that they're going to be willing to open up and look at, whether it's digital or whether it's actual physical print publication. With any group, you want to be where that group is, and you want to get in front of that group in the way that they want to take in the information. So that's going to be different whether it's a nonprofit group. Nonprofits, you're going to want to attend their banquets and their fundraisers. Business professionals, you're going to want to attend the events where they are trade showing and networking. You want to be in their publications. So finding the people in your club that already represent the unrepresented, if you will, the underrepresented, and then communicating with them, they'll probably have good insights into what ways they connect with people, and then make sure that Rotary uses that as a tactic.
Hi, it's Maureen here.
Yeah.
I have been listening, and there's been some really good ideas tonight. And I think one of the things, Corey, that you mentioned earlier is in the visioning, that process of knowing why you want your members. If you know that what you want members for is because you're planning to do something in the medical industry, or if you're planning to do something where you need people from the medical industry, then you've got a target group to go after. Or if you know that what you're going to do is try and reach out to underprivileged children, and you've identified a desert area in your state where kids aren't being served properly, then going out and drawing on that skill set in your community means that you're bringing people in and you're giving them a reason to get involved. And I think sometimes we forget that people want to join a club because they want to do something.
That's very good advice. I agree completely. Knowing who you're targeting and why you're targeting them definitely will give you a leg up on figuring out how to connect with them. Absolutely.
I love that idea. Thank you.
Any final thoughts before we finish up this session?
Well, just something that I would share regarding what Maureen just spoke of. Last year we began a new project, which was adaptive bikes and tricycles for youth with special needs. And there were people so excited about that, but that was part of our membership recruitment. When they found out about it, they wanted to be part of that, because there are very few people that you meet that don't either have someone in their family or know of someone who has a young person with special needs. And this project has been very successful, and I feel that it's brought our club together, even gave us a deeper bond in working with each other. And we have wonderful fellowship in our club, which does attract people who come to the club. But keeping in line with what Maureen said, that being able to do that for young people it is exciting. It's been a profound experience for me, and I see it with the new members who have just taken such a great interest and have become wonderful Rotarians in our club.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you for sharing that. So we do have upcoming trainings for the district. we have our next quarterly online training. Our next session will be October 30th at 6 o'clock, and it will be Member Attraction hosting a membership event. And then we also have in-person membership and public image trainings this year. The training sessions we're hoping for October, January, and March. Dates and locations to be determined, but I am working with Katie Cord, who is our public image chair, and we're trying to nail down those dates and locations. We've been working on a daily basis to try to get that done. So as soon as we have those figured out, we'll be sending that information out. So thank you all for attending. This has been Membership Attraction, creating your club membership plan, and have a great evening.